the Outdoor News. Come with us now as the Outdoor News team of Rex Moncrief and John Brown take you down the trail and into the great outdoors.
Hello folks, and welcome to the first episode of the Outdoor News. I'm John Brown.
And I'm Rex Moncrief, and we hope that for the next 13 weeks you'll stay with us as we introduce to you some of the most exciting hunting and fishing footage in the area.
And I'll tell you what, we've got some fine examples of just that this week. First of all, we're going to be going down to Richland Parish with Mike Williamson, David McLemore, Donnie Smith, and Robert Byerjohn for a great duck hunt.
Then we'll be going to Lake Bistineau with classic qualifier Homer Humphries. We got on some schooling fish with a Carolina rig and had a lot of fun doing it.
I tell you what, and for those of you who don't believe in rattling for big bucks, Mr. Rodney Jolly of Primos Game Calls is going to take us deep in the Mississippi Delta for an exciting archery hunt.
And in our sponsor review segment, we'll show you what Willamette Industries does for area sportsmen.
And last but not least, we'll be introducing to you the 5 members of the Outdoor News Pro staff. These are the guys that we depend on week in and week out to bring you this fine hunting and fishing that you'll be seeing.
Stay with us. The Outdoor News will return right after this.
Times are a-changing.
And Ward Chevy Olds Geo in Columbia is changing with them. In fact, we're one step ahead. Check Ward's guaranteed customer satisfaction. Check Ward's free lifetime oil and filter change. Check Ward's free wash and vacuum service. Check Ward's free courtesy transportation. And check Ward's free extended warranty. Did I say one step ahead? Better make it 5.
Don't settle for less. Check Ward now.
Check Ward now.
Hello folks, and welcome back to the Outdoor News. I got Mike Williamson and Robert Byerjohn from Winsboro, Louisiana. How you boys doing today?
Doing fine, John.
I tell you what, we had an exciting duck and goose hunt down there in y'all's place in Richland Parish. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the hunt, Mike?
Well, it was a cold morning. We had a combination hunt. Killed some speckle-bellied geese, killed some snow geese, killed a lot of ducks. It was a lot of fun. You had Juice with us here. Robert was with us. I believe there's 5 of us in the blind that morning.
Yep. Robert, who else was with us on that hunt?
Trying to think, John.
Donnie Smith?
Donnie Smith and Joey.
And David McLemore was with us as well, wasn't he? You know, one thing that I noticed in the interview we did after the hunt was, boy, I tell you what, the dog just blew my mind. He was something else, and y'all had been bragging about him, you know, but until I got down there, it was just something else. It was a good hunt. How do y'all go about putting your pit blind in the ground?
It's put in with a backhoe. It stays there year-round. We just had a new pit put in this year. Our old one was leaking. It's put in with a backhoe and anchored down on the ground. You have to put a lot of lumber out on some outriggers under it and then cover it up in the ground.
Robert, how was y'all's hunt this year compared to years in the past?
John, hunting this year was real good. It just wasn't, it tapered off at the end. We came up a few ducks short than what we did last year, but overall we had a good season.
I had a lot of people telling me that. I tell you what, I'm fired up about looking at this thing. Y'all want to take a look at it?
Man,
Let's take a look at it.
Let's see what it looks like.
Every serious hunter needs a dependable hunting buddy, one that'll help you through the rough spots and pull you out of messes. Riverside Kawasaki has just the hunting buddy you're looking for, and they're eager to introduce you to a few, including the Bayou 400 4x4 from Kawasaki. Being the only 400 water-cooled machine on the market, it's the hardest working Bayou yet. The Bayou 400 4x4 from Kawasaki, man's best friend. Okay, second best. Riverside Kawasaki Suzuki, West Monroe. Before you buy, give us a try. We want your business.
They've been in business for over 36 years. He's qualified for the Bassmasters Classic. They've got 2 licensed service technicians. He can drive any boat he wants to, and he drives a Tide Craft from Smith Marine. Tide Craft, Smith Marine, and Homer Humphries. Join the team, Smith Marine Team.
Well, folks, we're back at the camp with the outdoor news. John, we got another good fishing segment on Bistano with Homer Humphries.
Seems like every time we go to Bistano with Homer, we wound up catching fish.
Well, I tell you, you know, we had that was right after the snow came through Dallas, and that front had just come through, and those fish were real finicky, and we did catch a few, and I had one good one that he liked to yank the rod out of my hand.
Yeah, as they'll be able to see. I mean, this fish literally almost takes the rod out of Rex's hand.
And, yeah, I made the mistake of just holding the rod with one hand and turned around to look at the camera, and when I did, it just, I mean, he liked to pull him a nice rod in the lake.
Carolina rig?
Carolina rig again, just throwing little old do-nothing worms, all it was, a little crinkle cut by Toledo tackle.
Okay.
Tell you what, let's look at it and see how to catch those fish.
These fish change their biting pattern. You know, this morning, every fish we catch was in the bottom of the lip, hooked down in here. And this fish here loaded up on that thing like it's supposed to, and you notice it caught me right in the top. Either when they're biting, you catch them in the side or the top, but when they're real finicky, you can watch, and they'll be hooked in the bottom lip practically all the time. You know, this morning I made a comment to you where it's hooked down here in the bottom like that.
Right.
And we're using the same crinkle cut cleated tackles, and there's your fish.
All right.
But we'll catch some more.
Let's see if we can catch them in the top of the mouth this time.
This 9 to 5 is really starting to get me. I'm looking out for the start of the weekend. Gotta get my hands on something.
Hey, there's plenty for you to get your hands on at Builder Supply Do-It Center in Ruston. For you weekend builders, we've got the tools and the prices for your home building needs. The Builder Supply Do-It Center in Ruston.
Give me a hammer, hand me a saw. I'm not slowing down till I've done it all. I love Saturday morning at my Do-It Center store.
One thing that we wanted to avoid on the outdoor news is the idea that Rex and I are professional hunters or fishermen.
We also realized that we were going to need help from other people to bring to you not just fishing or hunting trips, but learning experiences.
To bring these experiences to you, we assembled a group of professionals in their field that we rely on heavily for their outdoor expertise.
We consider these experts to be the Outdoor News Pro staff.
Let's get started with Luke Lewis, forestry and wildlife biologist for Willamette Industries. Luke has long been a leader in wildlife management with as many as 700 hunting clubs following his advice. Luke has garnered many conservation awards in the past, as well as being a leader in the wild turkey restocking program. A past president of the Louisiana chapter of the Wild Turkey Federation, we're glad to have him on the staff.
Homer Humphries. He dominated local bass clubs for years and won virtually all the tournaments he entered, at one point winning 8 out of 10 tournaments on Toledo Bend Reservoir, and then moving up to the professional circuit where he qualified for the Classic 3 times. He fishes full-time for Tidecraft Boats and Mercury Marine, and owns Diving Ace crankbaits and Louisiana Blade spinnerbaits. He guides Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas lakes and continues to fish the professional circuit. Great to have you, Homer.
Glynn Harris's love for the outdoors is documented week after week in magazines and publications across the country. His genuine concern for wildlife has earned Glynn a vast readership as well as numerous writing awards and credits. Glynn Harris's experiences can be found every Sunday in numerous newspapers around the region. Glynn also contributes to Louisiana Game and Fish, Bassmasters, Southern Outdoors, and many more.
Dana Walker always seems to be where there are big fish and lots of them. And one day on Caney Lake, he and another angler boated 4 bass that weighed over 47 pounds. The biggest of the 4 weighed 14.83 and earned him the title of Louisiana Big Bass Champion in the Big Bass World Championship competition. Dana fishes for Bass Cat boats, Castaway rods, and Mercury Marine.
With 10 years of experience in the outdoor industry, Rodney Denton will surely be able to keep you on top of the latest hunting techniques and tactics. His personable nature has earned the trust of many outdoorsmen in northeast Louisiana and south Arkansas. This lifelong hunter from Wynn Parish will certainly make a great addition to the staff. Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Outdoor News. I tell you what, I've got with me on the porch today co-host Rex Moncrief and pro staff member Mr. Rodney Denton. And Ronnie Jolly from Primos Game Calls is fixing to take us deep down in the Mississippi Delta for a good deer hunt. I tell you what, you saw that hunt yourself. That was a good hunt.
Very good.
Tell you what, when you go into the woods and a rattling setup, Rodney, what's something you can tell us, a secret maybe or a tip to help us out when rattling?
Well, first off, check the wind to see kind of how it is so that you can set up with the wind in your favor. And then when you get ready to actually set up and start rattling, be aware that it could be just seconds from the time you start rattling till you see a deer. So don't rattle a few minutes and then get your gun ready. Be ready as soon as you hit the horns. Now when I start rattling kind of low. Just like that, a little bit of volume. You don't want to scare a deer off that may be close by and bedded down. If you hit the horns together too hard, too fast, you may spook him. You want to get his interest up in case there's a smaller buck or in case he's not around, then you can build your volume up. But start off a little bit low and then work up to it.
What about the combination of rattling and grunting? Do you try that?
You need to do that. Envision in your mind two bucks fighting. They're not going to be standing there just kind of halfway doing it. They're going to be butting their heads together, getting those horns mingled. They're going to be grunting. They're going to be kicking away the dirt, the straw. They may be hitting the side of trees. So as I start rattling the horns, I'll rake a tree or two. I'll hit my grunt call. I'll paw the ground. Sometimes I'll even do this like you would do when their hooves are hitting the ground. Just simulate the situation as close as you can.
Well, tell me something. Is there any hope for somebody like this old boy here that doesn't ever hardly hunt for an advanced tactic like that?
We'll tutor him along a little bit.
Have you seen this hunt?
Well, I've seen part of it, John. It looked real exciting. I learned a lot watching the way he was just barely, like you said, taking.
Ronnie was just barely doing them at first. I tell you what, let's take a look at it, and I think folks are really going to see what rattling's about with this hunt.
How successful it can be.
That rattling over there. Oh, well. Stuck that deep in the ground. Don't get this cold in Louisiana, it's all.
long time since there were wild turkeys in parts of North Louisiana, but that's all changing thanks to the cooperative efforts of groups such as local and state chapters of the National Wild Turkey Federation, the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, and timber companies such as Willamette Industries. Through their cooperative efforts, funds and expertise is made available to trap and relocate turkeys within Louisiana, and also to pay the replacement costs of birds brought in from other states to be released here in Louisiana. Willamette Industries has signed a memo of understanding with the National Wild Turkey Federation where the company pledges to utilize specific practices for wildlife on their lands. This includes practices that enhance habitat diversity, assisting in the protection of wild turkeys, and working with National Wild Turkey Federation chapters on projects beneficial to the wild turkey. Many modern forest management techniques are beneficial to wild turkeys and other wildlife species. This involves controlled burning to remove litter from the forest floor, leaving strips of timber uncut along stream sides to allow travel corridors and feeding areas for wildlife. And when timber is cut, either through selective thinning or a final harvest of a tract, sunlight penetrates and wildlife food grows in abundance. Now, if you stop to think about it, modern forest management techniques such as these not only enable the forest industry to more efficiently and economically do their jobs and provide the products from the forest that we demand, wildlife living on company lands benefits as well. Wow, that old sound of that turkey gobbler is just nothing like it is. And you know what? Thanks to groups like Willamette Industries, we'll be hearing that sound for years to come. The way I see it, it's a win-win situation.
Hold his head up, man. Get out from around everything.
Darn, that's one of them darn guns. No.
Oh, man, you got a green trout.
That sung unlike the Yankee rod out of my hand.
That's good fish. I don't believe he's gonna land him, do y'all?
I'm trying to let him go.
Yeah, that's my fish.
There. That sung, man, it's got to be the strongest fish I've ever hooked.
Well, I really enjoyed this week's show.
Well, I'll tell you, I did too, John.
I had a good time. First of all, I'd like to thank Mike Williamson for allowing us to come and film the duck hunt there in Richland Parish with him.
I'd like to thank Homer Humphries for letting us come over there and putting us on some fish again.
Yeah, I guarantee you, it seems like every time we go, he works his trick.
We catch fish, that's right.
And last but not least, I'd like to thank Mr. Rodney Jolly of Primos Game Calls for the good footage. We appreciate that.
That's right. Folks, we'll be back next Saturday, 5 o'clock, same time.
I'll tell you what, this is a good look.
Promotional considerations have been made by
Mossy Oak, the first perfect camouflage. Castaway graphite rods. Primos wild game calls. Mercury outboards. API tree stands. All-terrain lures.